Well, hello there everybody. Today we're going to draw a super quick, simple, easy picture of Superman, or Kal-El, or Clark Kent, depending on how you know him. This is going to be a quick, basic tutorial of all the main things you'll need. So draw yourself a circle right in the top right-hand part of your page. We're going to draw Superman flying towards us with a bit of foreshortening. This will be the top of his head. But Superman has a very square face, a very square, strong American jaw. He's a patriotic, proud type of character. So come off that circle line a little bit and actually just drop right down a fairly straight line at an angle. And this line is going to drop down about the whole height of this circle again, all the way down to around about here. Come in across the bottom. It's going to be the bottom of his jaw. And then we get to do the same down the side of this circle. We're going to cut all the way down to make that the back edge of the jawline or jaw area of the face, and then cut it across so that we fill in this shape like so. The middle of Superman's face is going to go right down the front of this line. Now, we're going to block out and framework the rest of the shape. So if we imagine that his shoulder line is going to cut right across here somehow, and everything is going to foreshorten off into the distance. So I'm just, as a very rough idea, going to just draw two lines that come off back like here. These lines don't make up much of the image, but it gives us an idea of a foreshortening. Just going to have a quick look through the camera phone, make sure everything is nice as in focus. Lovely. So around about a whole head distance apart, so one distance of his head to about here, I'm going to actually put in a really big, strong shoulder circle right off the edge of this line. So around about here. And this is going to tell me this is where the arm's going to be coming down from. This means that I get to go around about where the back of the circle meets the jawline. I'm going to bring a curve down here to be the muscles of the back and the neck and the shoulder all at once. And I'm going to go from this point, follow this central curve, and still take it down and along like so. I'm then going to just join these 2 points up where the shoulder line meets the shoulder down to the front of the curve. And I'm going to, in a very similar way, just follow that line down here and follow it back up here. And this is not really a shape on a human frame, but this tells me about a zone where we've got the cape and the middle of the chest muscles and so on. Another circle is going to come off around about here to represent the other shoulder. Now we get the basic shape of the chest in. So I'm going to come down from this shoulder line here, down from this shoulder circle here, and just curve around and in a really big, strong, curved barrel shape. That's going to be the main area of Superman's chest. I'm then actually going to go ahead and create another curve that shoots off of the bottom of it. Again, a really flat circular curve comes up and in here. And that is actually going to be the very bottom part of his rib cage. And everything else is going to shoot off towards the left with the foreshortening. So I can get to put a line that comes just off of the back here. And then is actually going to just hook straight down to around about this point. And then flatten out a bit before hooking straight back up. That will kind of represent where he kind of wears his red super pants in the comics, although not in the movies, I believe. And then if I just draw a straight line off down here, I know that the legs are just going to shoot back. So again, one great big ellipse is going to cover half of this distance. That again is just matching up around about here. And I'm going to bring that up. That'll be one part of the leg. And then coming off and up, another kind of circular ellipse shape. That's going to be really big, strong calves. So we'll have a knee circle right in there. And it means that that's going to kind of shoot back a bit, be straightened where the shin bone is going to be. And then that will give us an opportunity to put the feet in around about here. The feet we're just shaping in as very loose, kind of rectangular-ish things. If you imagine there's a box that this all fits into. And we're going to do the same with the other leg. So the front of the calf or thigh, the front of the quadriceps, I should say, be around about there. But this whole leg as well is shooting off behind. So really I'm just going to worry about a shin bone further up the line that's going to form another foot. And again, just copy an inverted version of this shape. So come up here, foot comes down off there, toes about the same level, and flows back up like so. There we have another Superman foot. A lot of this area will end up being in shadow as a result of the shape of the character that we've got going on. So if we come back up here, let's get a rough building block area for a strong line of an arm to come out. Now again, because of the foreshortening, another large circular area is going to be mostly hidden behind the shoulder. And then if I put an elbow up near the top like so, I'm going to have another kind of egg shape as well, kind of sprouting off of there to be most of the muscles of the forearm. Now with the comic book style of things, it's good to get some really strong angles going on. So the rest of the forearm isn't going to shoot back, but it's going to actually come down. He's sort of tensing it under pressure. So if we go down like so, just draw a rough cylinder that kind of comes off, then curves back and grows into that forearm shape. And then we can put a fist that's not back again, but even further down, which we can just represent with a bit of a box shape about here and about here. That's where we're going to fit that fist in. Coming all the way back to the front then, if we know that this is the shoulder zone, I'm going to firstly just draw in where the cape is going to drape over the shoulder a bit here. And then I'm just going to put in 2 big zigzags to show where the cape is ruffling off the back. I'm going to zig up once, come down, and then zag up again, come down and just go right along the back line there. This second point, I'm going to bring that down with a curve here, and that's just going to come and meet this line around about here. That gives you an idea of how there's a cape or cowl shape just going over the back. It gives you an idea of the angle. I'm going to do the same on this side as well. Bring a line to about here, and then just have that hook off round the back with one curve, and then just a second round there where it's all kind of ruffling and bunching together. So there already, even though it's just basic shapes, getting an idea of a figure in motion. Now this arm down this side again is going to have a lot of foreshortening. The whole bicep tricep area is going to be in shadow and behind things. I'm just curving off a little lump there, a little circle just below, and then more importantly another kind of lump that's going to be the forearm area, the tubular main mass of the forearm where the ligaments are, and again a fist that's kind of tilted in a bit, which I'm going to represent for the moment with just a square. Nice and simple. Now let's go back up to the head shape. Where the circle meets the back of the jaw, we're going to draw in a shape here for Superman's ear, like so. And then from behind that, we're going to actually draw a line that kind of curves off to about here. And that's just to show the rear edge of the neck. Now, Superman's obviously an incredibly strong character. He's not of this world. We're going to go from the outside edge of his jaw and just show a few lines to show like the strength and sinewy sort of action of him. So a really strong neckline is going to come in here. And then you can imagine that as a bit of a shape almost, like so. And the same thing's going to happen up here as well. And then again, you get to imagine this line in. Now the thing as well with the comic book characters is that there's going to be all sorts of black shadow around here, which hopefully I'll highlight in just a moment. But we need to actually draw in Superman's face so people know who he is. Now, just up here, about halfway of this circle height, in fact, it's a little below halfway, I've created just a little bump that comes out here. That's going to be part of Superman's brow. So in this zone, if you imagine that I'm coming away a bit from the left-hand side to create space for the side of the face, this is where we're going to have the features. So I'm going to come on this imaginary midway line. I'm just going to come up and then down below the line and in, and that's going to be Superman's eyebrow. And then I'm going to do the same on this side, leave a gap, mark it in, go up and go down. And then just below that eyebrow line, I'm going to try to keep it small for a comic character, unlike an anime character, and just draw in a nice thin shape of the eye. One there, and also one there. As we're drawing our way through as well, if you are new, welcome everybody. My name's Mikey, the channel mikeymegamega. Do click that subscribe button. We'll be doing lots of tutorials in the future, but don't let me interrupt you right now from your work. Now, but we've got from this point here, I want you to just look down this side, this face here, and a little over halfway, sorry, a little under halfway from this point to this point. So we've gone just under the halfway mark here. We're going to bring in a line of the nose. It's going to go to the right of this center line we've drawn in. That's our guideline. And I'm just going to come down almost to the bottom, and then I'm just going to bring it in. I'm going to drop in a nostril shape on this side, just to show we've got like a character of a flared nose in. Bring a line off of that goes down, and then go around the outside edge to show the outside shape of the nostril. Then we're going to go off the bottom of the nose ever so slightly with that kind of very thin U shape that shows the ridges at the top of the mouth. And we're going to use the middle of the eyes. We just pop an eye in there and in there. The middle of the eye, if we go down the face, will become the outside edge of the mouth here, and also on this side here. Now I'm going to pop this mouth in closer to the top than it will be halfway this distance, bottom of chin. It's got a big sort of, you know, mission frown on his face because he's always full of duty and can't take too much pleasure in being a superhero for some reason. And then I'm just going to etch that in with these lines here and here. We're going to make that stick out a load by putting a line underneath the bottom lip, which is going to be an area of shadow. And then that gives us the opportunity to put in this kind of dimple bit that is the double chin. Superman's always got this kind of dimpled chin look. So we're going to just go up here with a bit of a zigzag shape, show that chin is dimpled up, and then maybe get like another line in there as well to show that it's all sort of wrinkled in with shadow. Now you can put a touch of a jawline on the left edge there. Again, it's a very square face, the old Superman face. So that pretty much covers what we need to do here. Great, but we need to give him some hair. So a simple hairline is going to come just from outside the ear. It's going to hook round above the eyebrow level, ever so slightly here. And then really for the most part, it's going to come in just near this top edge of the circle. So I can just follow an imaginary line that kind of comes up around here, curves off there. That's where the hair is going to be coming from Superman's head. Now, he's always got this kind of curl of hair that comes around the front. So I'm just going to draw a curved shape around about here and then bring it all off and up there. We'll make that form into a point, a bit like the bottom of a letter S. And I'm going to curve all the way around. And I'm just going to basically put in some lines that are going to roughly shape where his hair's going. His hair's going to be a block, so it's not really a problem. It never hurts to put a few lines on it, just so that you've got a feeling for the flow of everything. Some hair there, some hair there. Maybe there'll be a couple bits that actually shoot off. But the rest of his haircut's fairly square and plain, so we'll come back down like so. We might have another bit of hair that just shoots off a bit, seeing as he's flying. But that's going to be about it. That's our simple Superman face. Just have a quick check again. Lovely. All still fitting in place. But again, this video has been way longer than I'd hoped. I'm always trying to draw as quickly as possible. So, we're going to take this zigzag of a cape, bring that in as a line well, right down to the front. And then on this side here, we're going to start to build in the groups of this arm. Now, where the shoulder comes in from the top, we're going to divide it into roughly 3 kind of bulges. Central part of the shoulder muscle, the main area. There's going to be a similar part on the front and a similar shape on the back. With the tricep on the rear of the arm, that's a lump area as well, which we're going to separate out. And then we've got the area on the side that pulls and the bicep that comes down the front. On the forearm, basically you've just got to kind of copy these weird shapes. So I'm just mapping out an area here that comes off of here. It's all sinewy and ligamenty. The bulge there still remains. And then we're just going to get a hand shape inside of this square that we've made. So this bottom edge of the square is going to be a knuckle point. There's going to be similar knuckle points just bouncing off the bottom there. Bring that curve up. And then from the angle we've got, really we're just going to map in the fact that thumb is shooting off this bottom edge. Maybe that'll be in shadow down there. And we've got just the first kind of parts of the first finger showing there. But the rest is all hidden from view. Nice and simple. This line here is pretty much going to become our collarbone line for the character. So you can imagine got one in there, one up there. And if I just bring a curve from this middle area here that maps down the front part of the chest, there we've got our center line, and we can start to worry about the Superman logo. Fairly simple. Start from the shoulder, bring a line that comes down to the collarbones, and then it's going to come all the way around. It's going to reach up towards another point on this shoulder. And then from this line, I'm just going to come all the way down and around here. I'm going to go right down the bottom off the chest there. And then a very similar thing here. It's going to come in, down and around. I've mapped a really rough triangle, a kind of curved triangle, because it's imprinted on the chest of space. And then I get to just cut off the edges of this triangle. So I'm going to cut off a triangle around about here. I'm going to cut it off around about here. But I will leave this area in a point at the bottom. And that's where we're going to fit in the kind of S shape that he's got. Although I believe in Kryptonian, apparently it makes the noise of the letter K for kal-el. So I'm going to give this a border, this shape. Not too thick at all, but just so we know what's going on for the edges. And then I'm just going to fit the S inside. Now, I don't draw an S, more I kind of map out the space in between. So I'm going to just curve off a bit of space here. That tells me that's the outside branch of the S. I'm going to put a little triangle in there. That's the dimple part where the S hooks back up into the shape. And then here we're going to actually draw a bit of a curve in. So if we just come up, the S touches quite thinly on the top. I think it then thickens out a lot, like so. Then hook straight back across. No need to go too far down. Hook that down a lot manually. And then do a very similar thing underneath it. And then the S just kind of comes back around about here. The bulge at the end. And that's kind of roughly. In fact, I might just map this a little bit higher. In fact, let's bring the curve starting here. Then it can come down there. I can bring it in there. Lovely. Just raising that up a little bit than I'd originally planned. If I rub out the ones that I don't really want, still gives you an idea of how we've got that going on. Excellent. Now, the chest muscles are going to come down from about here, like so. They're going to come around and bulge with that center line. They're going to do the same on this side. And then we're going to bring the same situation in for the muscles that kind of build up the side of the core and the back. This is going to come to about here. You're going to get 3 lumps just fit in here. That's going to be where our sort of ribs and area go. And then follow a slightly inverted curve here for the bottom arc of the ribs in the rib cage, right across there. And a lot of that area is going to be in shadow as a result, so don't worry about it too much. I'm going to bring a curve all the way down and around here to help me map in the fact that we've got Superman's belt and then his kind of red pants vibe going off there, fashion statement, like so. In terms of the legs, we've got the main muscles at the front of this one here. It's going to be massive quadricep area, a little bit on the thighs and the side, and then a few shadow lines will come in where the knee joint is. But mostly as we come round and follow this calf muscle area, back down here, back into an ankle. Let's make the boots come off a little bit better here. Just reshape that a bit better. Come into a point like so. Excellent. We can mark the boot shape in as a point that comes up here, just curves round and up with a bit of border. On this side, where it kind of finally comes into shot, it's all going to be in red as well. So I'll just show the fact that we've got a foot shape in there. That's about all I need to do for that side of things. Just like so. And that'll all be red as well. So we've got all of these zoned in. Down on the right hand side, where we've got this shoulder bunching, the front muscle here is going to be the main thing we see here. Maybe another bunch. Just kind of bulge in a little bit there and a little bit there. But for the most part, that's all coming nicely. Most of this area will be in shadow. And then where we've got the forearm shape here again with a shoulder, with the elbow, I should say, popping around about there. We're going to do the inside edge of a bunched fist. So basically a big bulb area follows the line of that square there. And we're just going to bring a thumb up, off and back in as a result. Another bulge for the inside of the arm there. Maybe just a couple lines to indicate the fingers. Definitely have a strong knuckle line on the outside edge. And then we can just quickly map in the rest of the cape. We've got a strong feeling of the direction of flight now with this character. So we get to show the cape just pulling straight back to around about level with his feet. The cape's almost as long as he is. Just going to bring that back up and in. There'll be loads of cape ruffling stuff happening around about here. Probably all in shadow, but certainly all going on. Then the other edge of the cape is going to be a completely different foreshortened angle coming around here. So we'll show it as mapping off like so. There we've got it. We have a Superman in flight. So the bits that we're going to actually pop into shadow then when we're working with the pen are going to be this area of the cape here behind there. I'm going to map lots of lines and areas in shadow that show the separation of muscle and how a lot of this arm is in shadow there. The separation of muscle groups is going to come up a bit here, going to come off here and probably in shadow there. So all these areas will shade up too. I have lots of different shadow and tension lines. Just draw lots of zigs and zags into here. That will show us what's going on around the back of the head. A little bit of shape in the ear. Obviously his hair is going to be black, as are his eyebrows. There's going to be, where he's got it to Adam's apple here, we just map that on, all sorts of shading and shadow coming under the chin. It sticks out a lot, right down into that zone there as well. The underside area that we're mapping of the chest will be in shadow. A lot of this whole crotch area as he's flying in will be in shadow as well. And then we're going to just shadow off that part of the arm that's right behind, and a few more kind of pulling shadow lines will come up there. So now we've got the character, we've got a rough idea of the shadow points. I'm going to drop into time lapse, put an inking layer on it, and then just sort of point out where, if I was going to colour it, I'd put some simple colours. See you in just a sec. Okay, and there you have it, everybody. A nice, simple, quick drawing of Superman. What I'm probably going to do is scan this on the computer and just put his cape, his boots, the S, all in red. Nice, simple red. Maybe the pants as well. And then the rest I'm just going to put into blue for his Superman outfit and just drop a skin tone on top of there. Probably just to make the thumbnail for this image. But I hope you guys have found this useful. I hope you've had fun drawing your version of Superman at home. I'm certainly really psyched about the upcoming films we've got this year. Get in the comments below. Tell me what you want to see drawn next. Subscribe if you haven't already. Really helps me out. And I'll see you guys next time round. Goodbye. So hey, thanks for watching. Click subscribe and put your suggestions in the comments below. See you next time.